Hello, beautiful friends. It's Erica. Today's topic is quantum healing. This is actually a topic I did on one of my podcast episodes a couple of years ago. And I know some of you guys, it might be one of my most popular podcast episodes to date, but I wanted to come on and speak to it here because I've been getting a lot of questions as I've recently reopened to doing some quantum healing sessions. But I want to talk about the topic in general because many people are seeking new, different ways of healing, of working through things in their life that they're beginning to open up more and more to the concept of energy healing and other modalities beyond the traditional means. I'll just leave it at that. You guys know what I'm talking about. You can read between the lines. So I want to share a little bit more about the process and how it works, and help to bring some clarity to some of the things that I think are either misunderstood or confusing, or people maybe get wrong. So when I speak of quantum healing, this is a term that's thrown around a lot. A lot of people have different understandings of what it means, but it's kind of one of those catch-all phrases where people just throw it out as like, oh, it's quantum and it helps you heal and it uses energy, right? And so when people talk about quantum healing, it's kind of like that generic term that I believe can mean many different things. So all I'm going to speak to today is what I mean and how I work with this infinite field of energy to allow my clients to tap into their body's innate healing abilities. Many of you guys know I have spent the majority of my career in the healing field. As a naturopath, I have been working with quantum healing for almost 20 years, about 17 years to be exact. And it's evolved over time. And the work that I'm doing right now is, I have to tell you guys, the people that are coming to me for these sessions it's been incredible to do this work together with these souls that are being drawn to doing these sessions. So what really is this energy? Because the first thing I always get, like when people ask me, like, what is quantum healing? I'm like, oh, it's a form of energy healing. And I don't really go too much in depth, depending on who I'm speaking to, of course. And the next thing I get often is, oh, is it like Reiki? And my answer is not really. It is like Reiki in that Reiki also works with energy, but it's a very different process. Reiki involves another individual who is directing energy through your body and helping to create that connection and to allow the body to assist to heal and to balance. And it's a wonderful modality. But the work that I do is a lot different from the standpoint of how it works and the results that people can get from this type of healing. Many people have come to me to do these sessions for physical ailments, which is absolutely incredible because well, I shouldn't say we all know. I know, and I've been teaching for many, many, many years, how our physical health manifestations are always rooted in emotional and spiritual discord to begin with. If we do not address the emotional and spiritual discord that eventually results in the physical symptom, then it will develop further and further. The physical symptom is like an alarm going, something's wrong, something's out of balance, something's not working properly. And a lot of these physical diseases will begin on an energetic and etheric realm to begin with. And if they're not addressed, they do eventually progress into the physical realm. So I've done a lot of these sessions in the past with people with very specific health ailments. And again, I am not a medical doctor. These sessions, this is my disclaimer here, they are not meant to substitute for any medical care. Only a licensed medical professional can treat, cure, or diagnose anything. I'm not doing anything of that sort. I am simply sharing a process that I use and some of the stories. This is an educational video, okay? So please always check with your licensed medical professional before doing anything that, or, just check with them. Let's just, I guess that's it. That's it. So where was I? So a lot of physical ailments, but a lot of what I've been working on recently here with the clients that I've recently opened up to are doing a lot of spiritual work and grid work. But that's getting a little ahead of myself here. So what I want to talk about is how it's different. So what my work that I facilitate with the client is, it basically separate from Reiki. What it does is the client is actively engaged in the process. I am simply a facilitator. I hold the container for the session. I direct the session, but ultimately it is the client themselves that is doing the work. Okay. That is something that I think is extremely important for people to understand, because so much of our medical model, even our energy healing model or naturopathic model of health, always stems from something external to ourselves does the healing or does the fixing, whether it be a practitioner, whether it be a drug, whether it be a surgery, whether it be a technique. It's like the healing comes from someone outside of ourselves. When what I love about this work that I do is it's the client doing the work. So the client really connects to their own innate ability to heal, which I think is extremely empowering. Not that there's not a time and a place for other practitioners or other techniques or other things that you can support a healing journey from the outside. But that is what I think is so incredible about this, is because it comes from within the client. They are actively participating in the process. Even back when I was doing quantum biofeedback, I've been using quantum biofeedback for almost 17 years. And I loved it. But even when I was doing this, I mean, I would put people into the harnesses and I would calibrate to their energy field. I would apply the biofeedback, and, that was still a very passive thing. But even when I was using that, I was always engaging the client in their process. There was something I would always do that would, instead of the person sitting back being like, fix me, heal me, I would get them actively engaged in what was coming up. And I think that's critically important when it comes to becoming empowered and remembering our divinity and our body's innate ability to heal. So the sessions I do, what we do is so I facilitate the process. I get the client in a place where they are connecting to their body's innate wisdom and their innate knowing of what it needs to become back in balance and to restore balance and harmony within the physical vessel and within the energy field. And I also connect that innate knowing to the quantum field of all healing and all that there is. You guys have heard of spontaneous remissions. You've heard of all these miraculous healing examples. It's because it's possible, because what limits those from continuing to happen more and more and to be more and more commonplace is our limiting beliefs and our programming around the lack of belief in our ability to actually have this be a reality. So what this does is, once the body's own wisdom knows what it needs to shift and clear, I realign the client's energy field back more to an original blueprint, where we clear out the imbalance that is causing whatever symptom or outward manifestation we're talking about. So if we're talking about a physical symptom, once we address the underlying cause of it, we no longer need to manifest the symptom. If we're talking about limiting beliefs, if we're talking about relationship patterns, if we're talking about, anything that we feel is continuing to manifest in our outward experience, the moment that we we shift our field, our energy field, we are energetic beings, we no longer need to attract that outward experience to be the mirror to show us the inner discord that we were experiencing. So oftentimes people, once I do the sessions and we shift that and we get your energy in a new energy, you'll find that people respond differently to you. You'll find that you show up in the world differently to you. It's almost like the universe begins to align new circumstances that align with your new energy. And so I always say to clients, they leave the session in a different energy than when they came in, because that's essentially what we're doing. But what I'm finding fascinating is a lot of the sessions are dealing with a few different themes here that I think are coming up in the collective and the people that are being drawn to this type of work. A lot of these are people that have done a lot of work on themselves, incredible amounts of healing. They've been on journeys lasting decades, multiple decades even, where they've always been growing, learning, healing. Because it's part of the ascension journey is to always be improving, developing, discovering new aspects of self. And we know that, the lessons never really end, right? They only shift in intensity and in prevalence. So a lot of the people coming to these sessions have been doing immense amounts of work, so much so that they're like, I've already worked on that, or I don't need, or like, yeah, I don't need to heal that anymore because I'm over it, right? And that's true. But what's fascinating is that we hold within our field unconscious things that we cannot be aware of. And sometimes it is the most crazy thing that comes up in these sessions that you would never tie together with what maybe you think you're coming to the session to heal. I've given a couple examples of this before, and I don't want to get this video to be too long, but I do want to say there's kind of a few things that, okay, I'm trying not to get into too many specifics, but I think it's important sometimes to really connect the dots. There's a few themes coming up in these healing sessions. Number one, incredible loneliness. A lot of people that are coming to these sessions are light workers, starseeds, people that have been doing a lot of work who are feeling very alone, and they cannot stand the ugliness of the world that we are living in right now because of the last few years in particular. And that's very, very difficult. There's an immense loneliness that is coming through in a lot of these sessions. And many of you feel like, I don't belong here. I don't know why I'm here. This world is awful. I just want to go home, right? Like home to this energy of love and connection. And each of these souls that are coming to me with this are here to do very important work. So we are, that is one theme that is coming up. The other thing that is happening is we are healing a lot of the wounding of the sacred feminine in these sessions. And I genuinely believe that the people coming here are not simply doing healings for themselves. These are very, very, very powerful light workers who are also doing collective healing. It's almost like they are healing the collective field when it comes to the wounding of the sacred feminine, a lot of sexual abuse and sexual trauma that is coming up, because that is all meant to disempower the divine and sacred feminine. So a lot of healings around that. That's been a theme throughout all the sessions I've been doing over these years. It's amazing and quite heartbreaking how prevalent that theme really is for people. But the other thing that's been coming up is the healing of the sacred masculine. And specifically, one of the sessions I did recently was healing the sacred masculine's sense of duty and responsibility to do what other people expect of him, to do what society expects of him, or the right thing, and to shut off what the masculine knows to be true for himself. So, we're doing a lot of work in these individual sessions, I guarantee you, for the collective, and it's been quite powerful. We've even done a lot of past life sessions connecting both a lot to Egypt and to Atlantis. It's been really incredible. And we know that that is part of what is coming up in the collective and what we are doing in globally and universally at this time. So again, I'm just looking at my notes here. So that's kind of some of the themes we've been doing. But what I want to clarify and why this is so powerful as a modality is because when it comes to things like counseling and therapy, right? Like these are great modalities and very important for many people on their journey. Yet when you think about therapy and counseling, there is a limitation there. There is a limitation from the standpoint of speaking in the session, right? The person who's getting the counseling and the therapy needs to be speaking about what they're consciously aware of, or speaking about what's going on. And the therapist or the counselor can observe through the questions, kind of sometimes pull out some of the unconscious patterns that they are observing, right? But they're still limited by what they can see and observe, right? Because a lot of times what happens is the person comes to the session, they communicate with the therapist, and then they go home and then they do all their unconscious behaviors. And they have to know, so the counselor and the therapist is even limited by what they are observing in the session. They don't see all the unconscious stuff going on outside the doors of the session, that they are then reliant upon the client to come in and say, oh, I realized I was doing unconscious behaviors. No, the client's not going to say that because it's unconscious. We know that 85% of human behavior is completely unconscious, meaning we're not aware that we're doing it. So again, therapy and counseling is a very, very, very powerful tool that I recommend highly for so many people. And what I'm finding here is people that come into these sessions are used to this, like, I have to understand, I have to tell you everything. And my comment to them always is, the beautiful thing about these sessions is that you don't need to understand how it works. Sometimes the way the divine will run these sessions and your innate body's knowing will run these sessions is do it in a way that gives you the healing without bringing things to your conscious attention. As for example, especially with very highly traumatic events that happen, sexual abuse, sexual trauma. I always say that you can be healed from it without having to relive it. Because I've seen it firsthand. And there's a very beautiful way that the divine does this. And so a lot of times the people that are coming are healers themselves, and they're very much used to analyzing themselves, figuring it out. How is this connected? Absolutely incredible, gifted healers that are coming to do these sessions. And I'm always telling them, this is the time for you to take your healer hat and put it to the side, and you are simply receiving. You can always look at the session later and evaluate what's going on later. But right now during the session, put that part of you aside. I've got it. I'm holding it. Let the divine run this. Let your body's innate knowing, your soul knows exactly what it needs today. And you can figure it out and analyze it later. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people who are healers and who are very self-aware, is we're just trained and habituated to always be analyzing and figuring things out. And that's the beautiful thing. As I said this to someone in one of the sessions the other day, is I was like, listen, think of it like you're going in a car and you're moving to a destination. You get in the car, you drive the car, you get to where you want to go. You don't need to know how that car works and operates to enjoy getting to the destination. Right? Makes sense. You don't have to understand all the intricacies of how a car operates and how it actually drives the vehicle. You don't have to understand it in order to benefit from it. So, in any case, I realize that this video has been a little bit general and vague. Obviously, I'm trying to communicate the value and the difference of this type of work to other very, very powerful modalities. But I think my final point, and again, this video is kind of double fold to answer some questions I've been getting, first of all, but most importantly, simply to open up your hearts and your minds to other possibilities, and to know that the human body is meant to be in balance. It's meant to be healthy. It's meant to live many, many, many more years than humans live. Yet we have been deliberately manipulated and tampered with for thousands of years. And it's about time we kind of return back to the beauty and the power of our ability to be vibrant, to be healthy. And this is getting into some other topics that I'm going to be talking a little bit more about in the future. But what I'm witnessing, and I witness on a daily basis, are miraculous shifts in consciousness, miraculous shifts in releasing old patterns that have been stuck there, sometimes for more than one lifetime. And it is something that I feel an immense privilege to be able to do with the people who are called to do this work. It is really an honor to meet the incredible souls that I get the opportunity to assist in opening up to more of who they really are. So I hope that this video has given you some insight into what's possible, maybe helped answer some questions you may have had about healing and quantum healing and energy healing. And again, I'm speaking to the healing work that I have done and evolved over almost 2 decades, and working with literally thousands of clients over that time frame. It's the world is more ready now for this than it was 20 years ago when I began it. I just have to say. And if anything, the last 3 years has shown us is that the world is ready to be healthy, to be ready to be healed, to break out of systems that are not working. So with that, I hope that this video was helpful. If you're interested in booking a quantum healing session, I'm releasing them one by one in small batches so that I'm not booking 6 months out. These are very intense sessions energetically for me. So I literally can only do one a day. So this isn't like pumping out videos and doing even readings, which do take a lot of energy. These sessions are very limited, only simply because they're limited by my ability to facilitate them. So if you try to book one and it's not available, by all means, keep checking back to the booking page. I do release them bit by bit. And I'm going to be sharing more about this in the future, but I do hope that this video was helpful. And if you like it, give it a thumbs up. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences if you feel like sharing. And until next time, I send you love. Bye.